Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to talk about Caitlin Clark not going to the Olympics for the US national team. As you can imagine, this has sparked absolute outrage online because it's off the back of the flagrant foul that happened the other day. It's off the back of people like Sunny Hostin. We had Jamil Hill questioning why black players didn't receive the same treatment back in the day. Black players who built the WNBA, why did they not get the same treatment? Again, implying that it's because she's white, because she's straight. But then we have those who many would consider the voice of reason. People who say, this is what happens to rookies. They get tested. The veterans give them a hard time. They get thrown around. They get knocked about. This is all part of the game. And they have to earn respect. Doesn't matter how popular they are. They have to earn the respect of the other players. They have to show resilience. And Caitlin Clark, more than likely, was prepared for that. So when it comes to this whole Olympic thing, Caitlin Clark has broken her silence. She was asked about it. And I don't think she's taking it as badly as other people are. So if we look at the players who were selected, many of them are vets. Many of them have a lot of experience. Brittany Griner has been selected. And one of the women selected is 41, Diana Taurasi. So they obviously value experience over popularity, I guess. Now, obviously, there are young players on the team too, girls who are in their early 20s. So the reported USA roster has combined to win 18 WNBA championship rings, 4 WNBA MVP awards, and made 55 All-Star appearances. They will open the Olympic tournament on July 29 against Japan, and the team are going for their 8th Olympic medal. So this is a dominant team. They're obviously the favourite. So when it comes to Clark's performances made sellout the norm at Iowa and now for Indiana Fever Games, which has spurred huge television ratings throughout her college career and more of the same in the WNBA. The all-time NCAA scorer was named the WNBA Rookie of the Month for May and is currently averaging 16.8 points per game, along with 6 assists, 1.5 steals, and 2.8 three-pointers. So Caitlin's record is very impressive, but she's still a rookie. And that's the main reason why people are saying she wasn't selected this time. So those who had a lot to say in defending Caitlin Clark when it came to people talking about her race, people talking about her being straight, they have a lot to say about her not going to the Olympics too. So the founder of Barstools, Dave Portnoy, he had this to say: leaving Caitlin Clark off the USA women's team for this Olympics is the dumbest thing Stool Presidente has ever heard.
All right, I'm at Saratoga Belmont Day, looking spectacular per usual, shoes, bang. But this is about Caitlin Clark being left off the Olympic team. How dumb are these women? How dumb? I don't know who's making the decision, Women's Olympic Committee, whatever it is. I don't care if you don't think Caitlin Clark, talent-wise, belongs on this team, even though she does put up 37 to 13, like the most points in the history of the league for a rookie. None of it matters. These women, and I love women. I'm a pro-woman guy, women guy. They complain and they cry about equal rights, equal wages, blah, 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 blah. Hey, dummies. For the first time, like in the history of basketball, you have arguably a player who is the most popular player in the world. Like, you could argue right now, Caitlin Clark is the most talked about, discussed, most popular, most puts asses in the seats, single basketball player in the world. You could argue that. Yeah, you could say maybe LeBron, Luka, whatever you want, but you can argue it. And you leave her off the Olympics team, it's not only a showcase for her, it's for the sport and the other WNBA players who are on this team. How dumb, how brain dead, how idiotic do the people running this thing have to be? It was one thing after another with her. How, at the business part of my brain is like, these people, and maybe it's a guy who did, whoever it is, I don't ever want to hear you complain about flying commercial or not getting salaries or this, that. You're too dumb. You're too dumb. You have a cash cow. This can bring The Olympic basketball, women's basketball, will be like the number one thing people watch with Caitlin Clark. As it is, I'd rather watch grass grow. I'd rather watch paint dry. I'd rather watch dirt just be moved around. Because Caitlin Clark's not on the team. If she's there, it's appointment TV. You people, whoever did this, honestly, hey, take your brain, put it in a museum, and study it for how dumb you are.
Ooh. So as you can imagine, very strong reactions when the news broke. And people are saying it's a missed opportunity. She brings bums to seats. She brings viewership. So obviously, it would have increased the amount of people watching the women's basketball this year. They've won 7 gold medals. But yeah, how many people can say they've watched them? Seriously.
You know, before I get into my next guest, to continue a conversation we had this morning on ESPN's First Take, I just wanted to express my thoughts about the news that Caitlin Clark was being left off of Team USA, the Olympic team, as a rookie. I was on the record this morning saying this was an idiotic decision by Team USA. I just want the world to know I haven't changed my mind one damn bit. I think it was idiocy, personally. I want to make sure that everybody understands what I'm saying. From a basketball standpoint, I'm not talking about that at all. Every single player that's on Team USA deserved to be there ahead of Caitlin Clark. Without question. Without question. Every single person that's on that roster. We all know A'ja Wilson is the one in the league. She's the standard, okay? We know that. We understand that everybody that's on this team has deserved it. Their play has warranted it. They've played better than Caitlin Clark thus far. I get all of that. I'm not thinking about basketball. I'm thinking purely about marketing. I'm thinking about the fact that the WNBA swears they want to elevate its brand, that women's basketball obviously deserves a higher profile. They've been lamenting the fact that they haven't gotten the shine that they so richly deserved and has worked diligently for decades. The WNBA is entering its 28th season, for crying out loud. They've never gotten the hype that they've received over the last month or so since Caitlin Clark has arrived on the scene. Record ratings, record revenue, everything that you could think, record attendance, everything. They've never had it before. Knowing that, and knowing what a global platform the Olympics provides and what that could ultimately do for the WNBA if you had her participating, I think they missed the boat on passing that up. That's where I stand with it. That's what I believe is fair to say.
For a team that has won back-to-back Olympic gold medals, they are not getting the viewership that they deserve. They definitely would have had an increased viewership in the US, and all the hype surrounding Caitlin Clark more than likely would have attracted people from other countries too, to tune in and see what all the fuss is about. But that's not going to happen now. I guarantee you, the people who are defending Caitlin Clark, the people who want to come out and see her play, they're probably not going to be watching.
As of today, if I had to bet, I think Caitlin Clark's WNBA peers are going to break her. I'm not alone in that thought. Charles Barkley, LeBron James, and countless others can see what I can see. The level of pressure on Clark to rescue the floundering league, combined with the amount of jealousy, racism, and anti-heterosexual bigotry directed at Clark, combined with the incompetence of the Indiana Fever organization, are going to permanently destroy Caitlin Clark. That is my prediction. I do not see a path to success for Clark. Not a sustainable path.
That was Jason Whitlock, ever the optimist. And and he had a lot to say about the so-called Olympic snub. He basically is saying it's an extension of this whole her being white, her being straight, and people not being happy about that. He's saying it's simply a reflection of that. So Jason Whitlock has reacted furiously to Caitlin Clark's Team USA Olympic snub, blaming BLM, LGBTQIA plus silent P, alphabet mafia bigots, in a string of angry social media posts. So at first he said he was pleased that she would not be going to the upcoming games, writing, "Am I the only one glad they left Caitlin Clark off the Olympic team? Now I don't have to watch a bunch of angry, entitled feminists who hate America play hoops." Now we know Brittany Griner, for example, she's known for taking the knee when the anthem is played. But after what happened to her in Russia, she said she's not going to be doing that anymore. But the target of Whitlock's anger soon moved away from patriotism when he wrote, "They thems hate Kate. End of story." He continued in a separate post, "Women's basketball decision makers are not dumb. They've been bullied by the BLM, LGBTQIA plus silent P alphabet, mafia bigots. She could replace any of the 12. None are needed to win the gold," Whitlock said. The "who do you remove from the team" debate is comical, like it matters. For the first time in US history, women have the biggest star in sports, and they don't know how to utilize her. This is high comedy. They're all Tito, she's Michael. Beat it. So yeah, people were saying, who's less worthy to be on the team than Caitlyn? Who do you suggest they get rid of to incorporate Caitlyn on the team? And that's a fair question. So a lot of people, are going back and forth with this whole debate. So look, in my opinion, I did initially think it was a snub, but that's how I saw it, especially as I've been looking at all these people saying it's her race, it's her pretty privilege, tall privilege, and all this nonsense. But what really got me thinking was the fact that she is a rookie, and this is an experienced team. She has gone from playing college basketball to playing for Indiana Fever, so she's had to adjust to playing with a completely different team. With Iowa, those were her girls, they were in sync, they were doing their thing. So she's gone from that and is now playing for Indiana. That is a huge adjustment. It's only been a couple of months, or it's only been a few weeks. Then to go from that to playing on the Olympic team, that is a whole new team that she's going to have to get used to playing with. And apparently, the US Olympic team, they only get 14 hours to train together. So you have to hit the ground running, you have to be ready, you have to be in sync with people you may have played against, but not as part of a team. That's a huge adjustment, especially for a rookie. So perhaps that was the main factor.
We are hearing reports that Caitlin Clark will not be on the women's basketball roster as Team USA heads to Paris for yet another potential gold medal there for this team. And of course, it's a very stacked roster and a lot of takes on this. I want to put up just the roster heading into the Olympics of what we're hearing via reports. Team USA not necessarily confirming these names, but Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Diane Taurasi, Alyssa Thomas amongst the names there as you go down. Plenty of very solid guards: Kelsey Plum, Joel Lloyd, Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, Sabrina Oniescu, and many, many more. But the name that a lot of people are talking about is not on this list. Caitlin Clark, the sensation there out of Iowa, and now for the Indiana Fever, not on the roster heading into the Paris Games. We're going to be joined right now by AP women's basketball reporter Doug Feinberg. Thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And of course, you have covered a lot of women's basketball at the Olympics. Is this a snub in your eyes?
So I think snub's the wrong word. She was not snubbed. Candace Parker was snubbed in 2016 when she was left off the Olympic team after winning 2 gold medals with the U.S. That was a snub. A rookie playing her first year in the WNBA, who's been unbelievable in college, obviously set the Division I scoring record, has been great, has brought in millions of new fans. She wasn't snubbed. She just wasn't made on the roster. And the question I always ask is, who are you going to take off that roster that you think is not worthy of being one of that 12?
Yeah, and you talked about it, and you put this up there saying it's funny to believe I'm the only U.S. journalist who've covered every women's basketball game at the Olympics since 2008, a run of gold medal after gold medal after gold medal, and there have been a lot of bad takes and bad narratives out there today. You've seen some of the previous people that you mentioned did not make the roster, an MVP that's not on the roster, players that certainly deserve to be on the roster. Maybe how big of a deal is this for Team USA, and maybe do they reevaluate things after this?
I think so, because they have procedures in place to make the roster. Yeah. Marketing is not one of the things they have to look at. It's what they can do as a team, what the players done on the court, not off the court, and they'll be fine. This team will probably win the gold medal. They're the heavy favorite again. The biggest thing you have to think about with USA Basketball is the limited practice time together. I think I heard somewhere, I was talking to people that they'll have had maybe 14 hours of practice time as this team is assembled before their first Olympic game, whereas other countries have years to prepare or months to prepare together. And that's a big deal. When you're asking Caitlin Clark, whose position is a guard, point guard even, to learn how to run an offense, learn everyone's favorite spot to get the basketball in, that's something you just step right into the court and be able to do right away. So I think you'd be setting her up for some potentially unfortunate situations if you put her on this roster and expected her to do things right away.
And we had Jamil Hill agreeing with this journalist, saying, honestly, Caitlin Clark not being on this year's Olympics team is actually a good thing for her. In the span of weeks, she went from playing college ball to becoming a professional to having a grind of a schedule. A multi-week break probably isn't the worst thing in the world. She will eventually make an Olympic team. I don't consider Caitlin Clark being left off the Olympic team a snub. Now, when Candace Parker and Nneka Onwumike were left off the Olympic teams, that was a snub. Nneka was league MVP, led Team USA in scoring a year before the Olympics, and was MVP of the FBIA. CP had won 2 gold medals, was a former MVP and a champion. Think Nneka is the only WNBA MVP to not make an Olympic roster. Now, to be fair, those are some fair points. And Candace Parker, she is LGBTQ, so, you could argue that it's got nothing to do with somebody being straight, being discriminated against, because they've done the same thing to LGBTQ players too. A very impressive record, a very impressive track record, who have won gold medals. Doesn't make any sense, actually. And now we have the people who were saying that this is all due to Caitlin Clark's popularity. If you weren't all showing up to the games, selling out stadiums to go and see Caitlin play, maybe she would have been selected. So y'all are at fault. So they're saying that it's the head coach's fault. The head coach decided to snub Caitlin Clark because she prioritizes experience over popularity. So people are saying that in the past, Cheryl Reeve has thrown shade at Caitlin Clark. And again, people are questioning, is this why Caitlin was snubbed? So last month, this is what she wrote on X in response to a WNBA ad. Also in action tonight, Minnesota Lynx, Chicago Sky, 7 p.m. CST. Though fans won't be able to watch, Lynx fans can go on the Lynx app to follow along via play-by-play. Or if you're in the market, come to the game as we start the season off right. Hashtag 12 teams. Hashtag the W is more than one player. The last hashtag shows Reeve was, and perhaps still is, bitter about the attention Clark receives. However, USA Today's Kristen Brennan has also revealed that Clark's unprecedented fandom actually counted against her in the decision-making. So according to 2 anonymous US basketball veterans, concern over how Clark's millions of fans would react to what they expected to be limited playing time on a stacked roster was one of the factors that led to her omission. Team USA officials are said to have expressed fears over the potential backlash to her lack of minutes, which could prove detrimental to the team in the French capital. So I guess that makes sense. Perhaps she wouldn't have got a lot of playing time, and apparently that would have brought backlash. I'm wondering if it would have brought as much backlash as her not being on the team at all. So here's what Caitlin herself had to say about the so-called snub.
When you saw the USA team yesterday, the roster come out?
Yeah, I think I'm excited for the girls that are on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and I know it could have gone either way of me being on the team, me not being on the team. So, I'm excited for them. I'm going to be rooting them on to win gold. I was a kid that grew up watching the Olympics, so it'll be fun to watch them.
What was your level of disappointment not hearing your name on the roster?
Honestly, no disappointment. I think it just gives you something to work for. That's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there. And I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, I can be there.
Did you have a direct conversation with managing director or whoever over there at USAB recently?
Yeah, they called me and let me know, and before everything came out, which was really respectful of them, and I appreciated that. And they did the same for every girl that made the team or every girl that didn't make the team. There's a lot of players in the Olympic pool, so it wasn't like I was the only one they had to call. They had to make quite a few calls.
Are you looking forward to a break, from Olympic action, basketball in general, I guess?
Absolutely. It's going to be really nice. I've loved competing every single second, but it's going to be a great month for my body to, first of all, get rest and get healthy and just get a little time away from basketball and the craziness of everything that's been going on, and just find some peace and quiet for myself. But then additionally, a great opportunity for us to work and get better, a great opportunity for myself to get in the weight room, to work on the court and work at things that I want to get better at that I maybe didn't have time going from college to the pro season. So I'm looking forward to it. But at the same time, we still have a month of games where we have a lot of opportunities to win a lot of games. So that's where my main focus is.
She said no disappointment, and also potentially fuels her. What did you hear when you heard that, Doug?
I hear a really mature 22-year-old kid. I've covered her now for a couple of years. I've never seen her give a bad interview, respond to a question with a bad answer. Think about how many things have been thrown at her this year, from college to the pros. How many people ask her things about that it's out of her control. And she always comes up with a good answer and the right answer. And she's not just saying it, she believes it. And really, I said that the maturity of her to say that, it's the hardest team in the world to make. It's 100% right. It is the hardest team in the world to make.
The 4 years does seem like a long time. It only comes around every 4 years, and it does seem like a huge missed opportunity. But like she said, very maturely, very graciously, she wasn't the only one who was in the pool of players who were to be selected, who had to receive a call and being told that they didn't make the cut this time. And like she said, it's something to work towards. She's going to be given time now to rest, because she has been thrown around the court, and now she's going to have the time to take the time she needs to get better and to come back even stronger. So that's a good thing. So if she's not upset about it, I'm not going to be upset about it. I'm not going to be looking into it in any other way other than it's just not her time this Olympics. But when it comes to the 2028, more than likely she will be selected if she has a good few years. So do you think this is a snub? So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Like and subscribe. And God willing, I will see you in the next video.